You're listening to Art Heroes Podcast, the show to help you thrive as a digital artist. Tune in to learn how to transform your passion into a career. Get inspired by other kick-ass 2D and 3D artists, and find out what it takes to be an art hero.
Hello, everyone. This is Maria JD. Thanks for tuning in Art Heroes Podcast. And today we're going to have quite an epic episode because the person that we're having as a guest today doesn't need a special introduction for most of you. His name is kind of legendary in the collectibles industry. And please welcome Daniel Bel, who's currently working for Sideshow Collectibles, where he performs the role of senior sculptor, giving life to many DC and Marvel characters from the comics to the statue collectible world. So please meet Daniel Bel, and we're going to have quite an interesting talk. Let's dive into it. We're in air. Hi, Daniel, and thanks so much for coming to the show.
Hello. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, no worries. The pleasure is all ours, 100%. Guys, for those of you who haven't read the intro, this is Daniel Bel from Sideshow and actually from Argentina. Two things at the same time. One America and the other America.
Yeah.
a little like intro in geography. Important. Live from Buenos Aires. Escobar, to be precise.
Exactly, a small town from Buenos Aires, yeah.
Yeah, cool. So, and today we're gonna talk a lot about collectibles. We're gonna talk a little bit about the superhero theme and about Daniel, but before I start, just want to say that your name, even before you came to this podcast, your name has been mentioned at least 10 times by other people.
I don't believe you.
I mean, if you don't believe me, just listen to the other episode. It feels like you've been to this podcast already, but just like in the third person. So I'm like, okay, this guy has to show up.
Okay, that was so cool.
Believe it or not, but yeah, that's actually true because many people mention your name, speaking about the people that were there before them and people that they follow. So it's not something that it's not what I say. Well, probably I should as well. Right?
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. So let's just maybe start with the basics. Kind of what's your story? I know that you're self-taught. So
oh yes, I am. Okay, I've been working in the CGI industry for more than 15 years, and I started my career for doing plans, roof plans for architectural plans, or let's say engineering plans, doing that kind of stuff with AutoCAD and 3ds Max. Then I moved to a video game company in which we made cell phones video games. I think it was the first video games for the first iPhone. I think it was for a company Ubisoft. We have that company. We're in Argentina for a few years, and I've been working there. Then I moved to advertising, in which I did many things, and I worked for many hours. That it was the most frustrating part of my life. It's stressful, but I learned many things there. But like you said, all the things I learned, it was by self-taught. Thanks to YouTube and webs and all the information that I could find on internet, and of course trying and a lot of frustration, of course a lot of frustration, because when you are self-taught, it is like you will do something, you will make a fail, you will try again, and I think persistence was one of the best things I could say nowadays. It saves me from choose a different thing to do. But yeah, I was self-taught, and I was saying that I got 5 years ago, by accident, I found out this profession, this let's say this industry, the collectibles. I wanted to take some classes of traditional sculpt, and I did it. And in this class, we're all guys, all the people there were just true fans of comics and superheroes comics, villain comics, or whatever. And of course I knew that exists, but what I didn't know was like that you can work doing something like that, like a sculpting, even with the computer at that time, and having a job, having, getting paid for that. And I think, like I said, it was an accident, but thanks to all the things I did previously, I think that led me to the place I'm right now.
Wow. So you've always like been into comics and all this world.
Yeah. I mean, at the beginning was like, okay, there is any other thing besides comic stuff, and I said, yeah, there is anime, which is kind of comic too, right? But I mean,
Yeah.
besides, and they said, uh, there are many things to do with sculpting stuff, not just comics. You can do toys, you can do, parts for cars or for mechanical parts for anything. But the most fun thing, I think it is, put some your artistic visions in terms of what you think about a character. How do you, what do you think, a comic character taken from the book could look in the real world? And by that time, of course, there was a few names that I get inspired in terms of.
That is interesting. Talk to me about that. So what are the names that were there before you? So who are like some of the people that were inspiring you when you were learning?
Well, the funny thing is, the first guy I met, it was Martin Canale, which is an Argentinian guy. He's from Argentina, and he works at Sideshow Collectibles too. He's one of the art directors associates, and he basically introduced me not only to Sideshow, if not to to this world, because I mean, through his work. He started like with traditional sculpting, and then he moved to digital. And for that part, it was the one who most touched me, because I'd say, okay, I don't have any skills with my hands in terms of drawing or sculpting by hand. I tried just a bit, and I failed. But but I said, okay, maybe I could put all these years that I've been working in digital, different fields, in this new field, and I can try. So I studied ZBrush. That software, I'm not making any advertising for ZBrush, but it is amazing. I think
everybody makes a lot of advertising for ZBrush because that's the main tool we all use.
It is impossible not to do. I think it was the tool who allows me to understand how someone with certain skills in traditional sculpt could translate those skills or those techniques to the digital world. And because so I have an issue with some colleagues I had, because they tell me, you're not a sculptor, you're a modeler, a 3D modeler. And I said, yeah, but did you try ZBrush? Because ZBrush is the most is very similar when you sculpt in the real world in a traditional way. But it's it called 3D modeling. Okay, call it whatever you want. I think it's sculpting thing, and ZBrush is one of the main tools we all use.
This is also so interesting. So what is for you then the major difference? Like, let's talk terminology. What's the major difference in between the sculptor and the modeler, and how would you classify one person to be one or another?
Yeah. Okay. I think it's easy to me, because I think sculptor could we can translate the things we can do with a piece of clay and some tools to your monitor using any software. But let's say again ZBrush, because I mean, you have Dynamesh, you have a sphere, and you have a move brush and a standard brush or clay brush, and you can do similar things that you can replicate in traditional. A modeler, a 3D modeler, usually use polygons, edges, different things to move just little by little, and create something like, let's say, a car, right? Nowadays, you have many ways to do almost everything. Even in ZBrush, you can model a car or sculpt a car, but you will never say, I'm sculpting a car. because I think sculpting is more related with the organic part of being a modeler, so I think that the main difference it is that you can be more related with a traditional sculptor than a 3D modeler. I think that's why we
Right.
call it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that sounds more than logical to me. And yeah, I can't agree more that sculpting is more organical, creating something. Yeah. And then like modeling. Yeah. Although you can definitely be also modeling even inside ZBrush. You know what I mean? As you
Yeah,
said.
yeah.
100%. So it's not
Yeah,
related with
100%.
tool. So it's not like when you work in ZBrush, you're 100% sculpting.
Yeah, I
I mean, it
think
could
so.
be
I mean,
different. So yeah.
yeah, it could be different, but like I said, if someone wants to call me like a modeler, they can could.
So you're
They
not going
can.
to be offended if somebody calls you a
No,
3D modeler.
no. I think this is a kind of fight when it is the same like at the photography. There are people who believe that true photographer it is the one who basically reveal the photos in the
Ah,
dark room
okay.
with the red light, and the one who use computer
iPhone.
a knife or whatever. You're not a photographer, and I think it's being a photographer or a sculptor is more than that. It is to have an eye, it is to have a knowledge, it is to know how to do certain things. The computer and the software are just a medium. You can use
Mhm.
whatever other thing, and if you're a good one, I think it doesn't matter which medium you are using, because your work will speak by itself. It doesn't matter
Mhm.
if you use the computer or a clay or
Yeah.
whatever.
But still, for you, computer worked better than the clay, from what I
Oh,
understood from the previous statement.
100%. Yeah, yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. When I started with all the sculpting stuff, I had many friends who told me, okay, Daniel, if you don't go to the basic and draw and learn how to draw or paint, you will never be able to sculpt. And I was so worried about it because I don't know, I can't draw and I can't paint. I don't know why. I don't have those skills, but I try and I find out that I can. And the reason why it is because I think it's all about practice. It's all about passion, and try and try and try. I never give up if it's really something that you wanted to do.
Okay,
And I
so
think
like, did you just give up on like a traditional sculpting and painting too early?
I don't know. I think
Or
so.
you were just
Maybe
like
I
never
give up.
interested?
No, no. I think I understood how the market works. Nowadays, if you're a traditional sculptor, even if you're the best traditional sculptor, uh, the companies want flexibility and they want to do some things quicker than just sitting in your desk, working with clay, which is awesome. If you ask me, do you prefer more a traditional or a computer? I would say traditional, but for work is a different thing. Um, eh, if I have let's say, okay, Daniel, just do a sketch of any character. Okay, I do it. I can send a file. They can see in 3D, or they can paint it, and they can have it there, even if I'm working from Argentina to the States or any part of the world. And it's different when you work, with a piece of clay. You have to take a photo, or you have to put that into a package, send it over, and just pray to don't break in the
Yeah,
middle.
that's quite true. Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
you forgot
and
the
it takes
important step. You have to bake it before you send it.
you
And
have
that
to
could
bake
also,
it.
yeah. And then you have to get all dirty. And yeah,
Yeah,
the whole
yeah.
process will probably take at least 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think nowadays some people still believing a good artist, it is the one who basically use their hands to make something, but I don't think it is. It is like that. I think
Yeah.
it's the result is the most important thing, and the knowledge that you have will, again, will speak by itself when the piece comes out.
Yeah, very interesting. So I mean, I love your approach because I totally agree with the fact that a tool is a tool. I mean, I can write something with my pencil, I can write something with my marker, with my Sharpie, and I'll get different results, but it's just the tools. It's not about that. If I know how to
Yeah.
write, I probably know how to write.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's, like very
Definitely.
simple analogy. So what for you makes a good sculptor? Um, I'm sure you can speak for that because most people know you as a sculptor, as a
Yeah,
digital sculptor.
yeah.
So what is for you a differentiator? Because I'm sure you look around online and you see a bunch of variety there, from
Oh yeah.
beginners to like people who already work in the industry. So what are some of the points that you pay attention to? And, maybe especially for people who want to grow as sculptors, um,
Yeah.
yeah, what do you think is important?
There are many things, important things to have, I think. But one of the most skills that I always try to see in any sculpts that I usually see in our station or Facebook on social media, it is, sometimes it is just an structure, or what the basics. I don't care much about details and textures, and I know nowadays people are crazy about how the details you can do with digital and the new printers. It's amazing. But if the core of the statue, which is basically the main structure, is a bad one, it doesn't matter how many details you can put on it, it will look awful, So one of the most, I think, amazing artists that I follow and I have the privilege to work sometimes with, and we work in the same company, it is Steve Lord. I don't know if you know him, but he's
I've
amazing.
seen, yeah, I've seen, I know what you're talking
He's,
about.
yeah, he's amazing because he can do some cool things with just minimum uh, amount of details or whatever, just a structure. His knowledge on anatomy, proportions, and expression. I would say a sculptor is not just to a bunch of skills. I think a sculptor or any digital artist needs to have a bunch of things. And when I have phrase in my mind, it comes all the time when someone asks me the same. And I think I remember it is, nobody wants to work with a talented asshole, which basically you can be the best in the world. But if you are a bad person in terms of, how do you approach people and how do you work in a team, or how do you receive a feedback or a suggestion, it doesn't matter how much skills, how important skill you have, nobody will want to work with you. And I understand maybe the question is not, it is more going to, to make a sculptor, or what to make a sculptor. But I think it is everything, because in a statue you put a lot of things, like you put a lot of emotion. You put, if let's say if I'm working nowadays in something that I want to give to collectors a good piece, a good feeling with that piece, and I'm in a bad mood, I'm something bad happening in my life or whatever, or with my teammates, I don't get along with my teammates, that piece will speak that thing, will tell that. I know it sounds a little bit cheesy maybe, but it's we do art, and we always try to express our feelings through that, even if you're making superheroes or villains. I think it's a bunch of things who will define you as a good sculptor or a bad sculptor. But a skill, I'm just trying to say, skills are not everything. You need more things, and the human part, it is so important to me. It is so important.
That's very, very interesting. So at what point do you actually, as a sculptor, do you collaborate with other people? Like, do you ever collaborate? Because I mean, from the outside, it seems like a pretty lonely walk where you walk it
No, yeah,
alone and you own it
yeah, no,
eventually, whatever it
no.
is.
Yeah, I mean, I think the good part to be in a sculptor nowadays is when when the company release a piece, it will uh, it will take their name and your name as a sculptor. But behind that, there are many people working on that. I mean, I can have an idea and I can translate something that I see from design, from a sketch to what I believe it is the best way to represent But in that, I mean, in the middle, you have an art director, you have designers, you have your project manager, you have many people who, even if they're not involved in the project, but maybe sometimes they just pass through and see the monitor and say, oh, maybe that arm could be, you know, a little bit lower. And you say, I can try. And if you try and it makes the piece better, you know, that it helps a lot. And that's a kind of way of collaborating with people, even sometimes they are not artists, they're just people who have ideas. And I think that's the most interesting part of my job. That's what I was saying, that don't be an asshole. I mean,
yeah, no, 100%. Yeah,
you know
definitely.
what I mean?
Yeah.
It
No,
is.
of course, because like you can't just like think that you are like the god and that's your creation. Because
Oh,
the more people, I guess, give their feedback, and then if you're happy to be open to ideas, definitely.
Definitely. And I think nowadays it's easy to think you're famous or you're well known because social media, because you have many followers, or because you are hired by that company or that one. But I think that's a great mistake. I mean, maybe the worst mistake, that you believe that yourself, I'm in the position now that I don't need anyone else. I think there's no single, I mean, every piece that Sideshow released that I've been working, if I had so many collaborations and some people, maybe not people who basically send the files and retouch it. No, it doesn't happen like that. It is people who gave me their ideas and suggestions, and I take it. And sometimes it is, okay, he has right. I mean, if I do this, it looks way better, and I never will figure out just by myself. But like I said, nowadays social media sometimes force you to believe you are like a lone wolf, like, oh no, this is my piece, and this is my piece, and then Sideshow, and then the rest of the people. Because, I think that's a huge mistake if you think, not just at Sideshow. I mean, at any company nowadays. I have friends working for video games company, the best in the world. I have friends working for the movie companies. There is a great team working all together to trying to make the best product or whatever as possible. So it's a team effort, I think.
So before we go into the whole like social media conversation, just one quick thing. Do you basically, are you open to comments from and feedback suggestions from people that are not in the industry? So let's say if a friend of yours looks at, or I don't know, your family, somebody says, oh, like, Daniel, with all due respect, this looks like sorry, this is not a Wolverine.
Yeah. 100%.
What are you gonna say? Like, like, what if your mom watches Wolverine movie and it's like, and it says like, Daniel, not sure.
Yeah.
What are you gonna say?
Yeah, I know. I think we have two great tools, and one tool, I mean, as feedback tools. I'm
and
talking
one of the tools is the mom. Sorry.
Yeah, one tool is family, mom, especially my wife. She has a great eye for this stuff, and many times she told me, Daniel, are you sure about this? I don't think it looks similar to your previous post. And I said, no, it's not. And then I take a look again, and oh, she's right. And it is like, oh, she's right. So I receive her feedback, and I receive all the feedback, like friends, like you said. But there is something in particular that I did. Was a few years ago. I had the chance to go to San Diego Comic-Con in the States, and I attended to the event, and I was close to the sculpts, the statues there. Sideshow has a big booth, and they display all the statues they have, and I was trying to, just trying to mimic into the public, and just people don't recognize. People usually don't recognize me because I'm not an actor, but I mean, some of the collectors know me because I don't know, they saw a photo and they collect my stuff, essential stuff, whatever. So there was one guy, and he was saying, "Oh, the piece is terrible. It's awful." And he was talking about my Thor, and I was, "Oh, this is interesting," because most of the people, they want to be, they try to be nice and say great things, and like, "Oh, Daniel, your work, I love your work," and blah blah blah, and that's amazing, because it is a huge motivational thing to receive. But it was very interesting because I wanted to know what thing
Yeah,
that
why
guy.
he found that? Why did he
Yeah,
found
I
that terrible?
found terrible, and I approach him and say, "I'm sorry, I don't want to disturb you, but I'm the sculptor of this piece, and it's okay. But could you tell me, please, what is the worst part you didn't like?" I said, "No, I'm talking about the paint." I said, "Oh,
Oh
okay."
my
So
God.
it wasn't the sculptor, but the paint job, it was pretty nicely done. But he gave me a feedback, right? He said, "Okay, maybe he was a huge Thor fan, right? Thor fan." And okay, I took that feedback and I went to Sideshow and I talked with the painter and said, "Okay, look, this guy, he told me, he said about this," and he said, I didn't think about it." And then we made some changes in the final statue, and then and I think it's so important to get. Of course, you can't please everyone.
Mm-hmm.
You can make the most effort, the biggest effort, your daily work, and some people will say, "Oh, that's a crap. I don't like it." They're haters. I don't know, but whatever you call it. But it is so important, because if someone said, "Oh, this, I don't like this," it's okay. It is an opinion, right? But if 10 or 12 or 20 people said, "I don't like the same thing," it is because that thing is not right. So you have to pay attention to things like
Yeah.
this. So it is very important.
So basically, bottom line is that in your world, you're open to just a conversation about a piece that you're making, and it's not limited to like one art director. I mean, you would be okay listening to like a variety of people and just like being open before everything gets released. Otherwise,
Yeah.
you don't know at all.
Yeah, I think what helps you to understand what our opinions are, good opinions, or better say, are helpful, uh, it is your experience. I think your experience in the field will make you understand, will help you to understand what things you can take from those comments, what things are just pure opinions, and like, "I don't like that pink." Okay, it is pink, it is. But if someone said, "I don't like that," and they give an argument, and it is interesting, of course I can tell, because at the end of the day, I'm working for them. I think all the people who work for the CG Arts, video games, like I said before, movie, whatever, we can do what we do because of them. So we have to pay attention and have to to pay respect for people who basically they're giving me the opportunity to be speaking with you.
Keep creating. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. 100%, 100%. So now, like touching a little bit on social media aspect, because I mean, the most exposure like artists get in this space starts with basically online conversation and
Oh yeah.
publishing your work. And I think the same rule applies, that you mostly hear positive comments and like likes and good work and amazing stuff, and I like that, like, so all those things. Like, do you ever get haters like yourself? And also, and on a different note, do you ever hear constructive feedback but online? Because face to face is a different thing. Face to
Oh
face, you
yeah.
have more time, you can actually ask clarifying
Yeah.
questions. But like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
online, how does it work for you? Or it's not really for feedback online?
No, I think we can have we can take feedback for everywhere, and I think online it is nowadays it is maybe the most important, because you can reach anyone in any part of the globe. So I remember having a conversation time ago. I think it was Daredevil, one of the pieces I did for Sideshow. One guy said in one of these famous groups of collections, they said, oh, I hate this piece because of this. But he was like really hating and not giving any constructive feedback. Because you can say, I hate this because, and I would suggest to do it like this. So it is something you can take. But he was just hating. And I replied to him in the most kindly way. And I said, dude, if you have any constructive feedback, just tell me. I can't go back and redo it, but I can take into account to the next piece. I can do, and I will do. And so he turned into a good guy. He was just a hater, and he said, "Okay, man, I'm sorry. I just, I don't know why I said that like that way. I'm sorry." And I think this is what I think this character should look like. I said, okay, that's awesome. We can be friends and be collaborative. And I think it is so important. I mean, social media, I would say Facebook groups are very important because you can find the people who buy your stuff. And you can do some charts, like let's say, okay, who is the most well-known character you want to have a statue? And you put some characters and then people will vote, and that will help you to go to your work and say, okay, people are looking for this character. What happens if we can do it? And I think it is a huge tool in every sense, and we could take it. I mean, some people don't like to receive opinions, and it is true. Sometimes you put a lot of work because people don't know how much sacrifice and time we put in behind those statues. Behind our work we have a life, and in my case I have kids and I have a wife, I have family. So many times I sacrificed time with them in order to make a better statue, because I really respect these guys who put money and buying, the statues I work. So, but sometimes it is painful to see comments like, "Oh, this is awful," or "This is." But you have to learn how to deal with it. It just it is like the movie, the movies or the actors, or which is even worse. What I'm trying to say, they have. I don't know.
Even personal face. Yeah, you don't have your face there, at least. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So your strategy then for dealing with haters is just basically opening up a conversation?
Yeah, 100%. I'm being as nice as I can, because again, I'm 100%. I believe that you can turn people. I'm not trying to be the Dalai Lama and say, oh, you can turn bad people into good people. No, I'm just saying sometimes people think in a wrong way, because it's free to think whatever they want. But if you can show them that you are open to suggestions, even the company is too, or whatever you're doing, it is. I think for them it is good too, because they feel they can participate in this. And I think some artists, they don't care, which is fine. Again, I have some friends who told me, Daniel, don't involve in this situation, because it is painful, and it will make you feel bad. But I think to me it is the opposite. I feel good. I feel good when I can change someone's mind. I think it is positive to me.
Yeah, I love that. Like, thank you for saying that. I absolutely love this bit of this conversation, because it's just I think the whole digital world puts so much of a separation in between one side and another, and you kind of don't believe that the other side even hears you. You know what I mean? So when you publish something online, and I don't know, I don't remember exactly how many followers you have, but one of the, assume 20,000 people that are following you on Instagram, I think, oh, he wouldn't even care. He just throws his stuff on me. But the reality is that you're open for a conversation if somebody wants to have the conversation. And I think that's pretty amazing. I'm sure they appreciate when they see that.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I think I put more attention on those who don't like my work, because I really want to improve it. And the only way I can improve it is knowing what things I'm doing wrong or not like the people want it. Again, you can't please everyone, but you can hear everyone if you want. It is awesome to receive kind comments and kind messages. It is great. I think it's one of the the most things I enjoy of this profession. It is like I received gifts. They send me gift to my home. It's like I don't know.
Really?
Yeah, they do,
Oh my
and
God,
with letters
seriously?
saying, yeah, and it is very emotional because sometimes I receive one. I can't remember from who. He said, "Okay, thank you, Danny." He sent me some a small statue and some movies or Blu-ray movies or whatever, and he said, my daughter, my younger daughter, she wants to study digital art because of you, and if you could give her some tips, could you? I say, of course, man. And I mean, I really love the human part of the works, of the jobs, any job. And I think when you don't enjoy that part, you are just seeing just one small picture of what you do, because we spend like I don't know, 8-10 hours a day, and our work becomes part of our life. I mean, it is, I don't know if for everyone, but to
Definitely.
me
Yeah.
it is. You spend so many hours with people you don't know, and eventually you become friends. I think it is important to see that human part of our jobs. It's so
No,
important.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I agree with you. There's like always the human relationship aspect, even though most part of our life we spend online or by ourselves in the room working alone. Still, there is like a huge, huge, huge social aspect of that. So, talking about that a little bit, like you build your relationships with like a little bit with people online, and well, you work remotely for Sideshow, right? um
Yeah, I do.
and you've been remote all the time
Yeah, all the time.
since
Like
you
I
are
want.
in collectibles.
Since I'm in collectibles, yes, I do, and
How
a
many
few
years
years.
has bit?
The last 4 years. I'm kind of new in this, so I know other guys who has been working for like, I don't know, 15 years or even more. They are like the pioneers of this industry, the collectible industry, and I've learned a lot from them. But I feel kind of new, but I've learned so many things in the past 4 or 5 years, and working from home. Yeah, it is true. Maybe you miss a part of the connection, human connection. That's what I'm always trying to do some Skype calls with our friends there in the
Hmm.
in the studio. Um, Even the studio have many artists around the world, so they have a few, and once or twice a year I go there and I spend like a month or even more with the guys in the studio working with them. uh, I mean, I think the most important thing it is enjoying your work, no matter if you are in your home or you're in the
Hmm.
studio. But again, try to connect. I would say just try to be connected with your friends and your colleagues, your teammates, as much as you can, because it is that human part that we were talking about, that you miss
Yeah.
if you're not
And
connected.
how do you see career progression, when everybody's remote? Because I feel that it's a little bit harder when
Oh
you are by yourself, and you don't really have, I mean, also like we're touching a little bit now on the whole, like, our society restructuring a little bit when many, many people are remote. You don't have a traditional career ladder when you
yeah,
grow from, I don't know, junior to mid range to like
yeah.
senior and then to lead, and then it's the whole remote work structure makes this career progression harder. How do you see like yourself growing further, or you're maybe comfortable where you're at and you just want to stay where you are? I mean, which is also not bad, because if you're
Yeah,
creating amazing pieces, that's pretty much, I don't know, like, do you see it
yeah.
even necessary in like in where we are in the in the I guess like 2020.
Yeah. I don't think if it's necessary. I think it's up to you. I mean, in my case, of course, I would like to keep growing up as an artist, and maybe the only way I can put more of my vision in the things I do is be more present in the company, maybe moving there. I don't know, but I have many friends working for big studios, and they have to move there because the structure is so different. They work with many people, and they can, for example, Sideshow, it is in Thousand Oaks. It is 4 hours behind me, or 5 hours behind me. So when I finish my day, they are having lunch, so that hours in the middle that you don't be present, and they are taking decisions, or maybe they want to see you or ask you, or maybe you are just sleeping because it's your night. I think if the company is not prepared to deal with that, it is an issue for you. But again, I think in my case, of course, I want to keep growing and keep putting more of my artistic vision on each piece. And the company have the privilege to even remotely do that, and they are giving me the chance to choose what I wanted to do. And I think it's kind of cool. Not every company it is prepared for remote working with all the employees. They will need some people there. But I think the future. You said 2020, and if I think in 2030, I don't know. I think we'll be so different from now, because 10 years ago, 2010, it was very different. I mean, I couldn't imagine being in my home, working for States to the biggest studio of
Jesus
collectible.
Christ, don't even mention. I remember dealing with all the remote work structure in 2010. It was like a total nightmare. It was
A nightmare, right?
It was a nightmare. Nobody was prepared to do like
Yeah.
Skype calls for like this, like not like long haul Skype calls, like strategy decisions.
And even though back those days, they don't want to hire remote people to work with. So they was just afraid because they don't know if that guy will be committed to that work, will be responsible. But nowadays we all have profiles in Instagram, Facebook, and I think our career depends on how we act. And if we screwed up with a company or any place, we are all connected. Nowadays, you can work at any place you want. Of course, it sounds simple. It's not easy, but you can do it. But I think if you just, if you make a huge mistake, not, delivering what you promised, people will know that. It's different like 10 years ago. But people will know who you are and what you can do. If you're a good artist, I mean, if they can trust on you or not. So you need to be very careful of how you deal with companies and people nowadays, because you're online every time.
Definitely. So, like if you're thinking of, I'm sure you'll always have conversations with people who are starting, or with people that want to get into collectibles, or just in general, like in 3D sculpting or modeling, whatever you call it. Sculpting, of course, sculpting.
Okay.
So, what would be your typical tips for the starter ups? What type of character would you recommend focusing on? Something popular, or something with your vision? And then just in general, like strategically, how to approach your career if you were to start now, knowing what you know, how would you go about that?
Okay, yeah, good question. First of all, I will always say don't give up, because sometimes
that's a good starting point.
It is a good starting point, because I could say, if your first work, do a Batman, because it's a very well-known character, and then you do a Batman, and then some people tell me, but I'm not receiving the feedback that I expect. And my answer is because maybe you're not ready. I hear that to me, Daniel, you're not ready yet. And when someone tells you that, it sounds like at the end of the world, but it is true. Uh, the only thing I think would separate you become the success career and your very beginning, it is how many times you try and how you deal with frustration. Because I can tell you, of course, I would say if it is your first job, do something popular because people could see. I mean, Batman. My four years old daughter, she knows who is Batman. But if I create a character who nobody knows, it is difficult to get more exposure on that. That it doesn't mean don't be creative and don't do it. No, it means like you're going safe in a safe mode, safer, right? But it's not like only like that. It is not just like that. It takes time. It takes tries, many tries. It is like I have many people asking me all the time, Daniel, give me an advice because I've been doing all this work and I don't have any job yet. And it could be many, many reasons. I think nowadays, if your work is good enough, you will get a job. It is impossible to not get a job if you're good at it. If you're not good, it's because you're not prepared yet, and you have to keep working on. Passion, sacrifice, perseverance, persistence, I think are the keys. The main, I think all we should understand and try to do. It's not easy, of course. Someone tells you you're not ready when you are, I don't know, 35. I'm 35, and if I was starting my profession at my age, of course, it's more frustrating to hear that when than when you have, when you are 24, whatever. But I don't know. I think the most important thing it is going safer will not give you a job. What will give you a job? It is try and try and try and try.
Mhm.
And keep trying and practicing and studying and trying to become not better than anyone, just become the best as you can do. I think it is the best. And there's something to add on top of that. It is, I'm from Latin America, and most people from Latin America, they believe that because we are, Latinos, we don't have the same opportunities that in the States or Europe. And I don't know, that maybe was real 20 years ago when internet or social media didn't exist. And but nowadays, it doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, how old you are, which is the color of your skin. I think it doesn't matter. I think what only matter it is what you can do. And you have, you need to be very committed to show people who you are. And that will be expressed by through your work. And I think it doesn't matter if you're poor, if you're rich, if you have money. I received messages saying, okay, Daniel, I don't have a Cintiq and even a 3D printer, so I'm not able to work on this. I said,
Oh my God.
I don't use a Cintiq. Yeah, I don't have a 3D printer too. So, and I'm working in this field. So there are many myths, people, they think they don't have, they will not. Nowadays, you can use your cell phone to, look for a tutorial on YouTube and watching during your, going to your work, whatever. It sounds easy. I know it's not easy, but if it's something you really love to do, just do it.
Definitely. No, I mean, I agree. There's so many myths about the background, and yeah, I can totally relate with that. I also don't come from the background where anybody would, definitely not from the background, definitely bad connotations background. But yeah, you can camouflage, not really camouflage, but you don't have to show your face if you don't want to. Nobody will even know what's your color of the skin. Nobody will know where you're from. Your work speaks for you.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter. I'm just saying it is not a problem to be whatever you want it to be or whoever you are. I mean, I think it depends, again, of how committed you are or that thing you wanted to do. And again, be passionate. I think passion is the main key. It sounds cheesy, but it's not. It is. I think all good things are moved by passion.
Yeah.
And of course, I received messages saying, "Okay, I'm passionate, Daniel. I'm passionate, but it doesn't work." Of course, it's not just passion. It is sacrifice. It is being persistent. In my daily work, I'm a professional right now, right? But I make so many mistakes in my daily work that nowadays nobody will pay you for your process. They will pay you for your result. Nobody is watching you with a camera, watching how many fails in the day you made. I think most important is what you deliver is the best you can do. It is like a portfolio. Many people say, I have many stuff in my portfolio. Yeah, but quantity is not the same of quality. I prefer to have one exceptional work than 10 bad works, So I think that's a good thing that I can add, and maybe
no, definitely 100%. And I think like persistence is a very similar notion to the, and like, let's say not even persistence, but passion. It's very similar to the notion of falling in love. When you're in love with someone, it definitely drives you towards like a deeper respect, deeper relationship with the person. And then so that feeling like of falling in love can kind of help you smooth all the hiccups that every relationship would have. So that's kind of the same with your passion of your career. And if you're passionate about something that you do, although you have all this like downsides, if you're still passionate, like you will go closer to the perfection, or at least you will pass this learning curve.
Yeah, 100%. I think at the end of the day, it's up to you 100%. I mean, it doesn't matter, again, what you want to do. It is how you can do it and how many times you try. And after you try 1, 2, 3, 100 times, you keep trying, because one day you will get what you want.
But definitely. Cool. Daniel, I'll jump now to our traditional quick questionnaire. There are like 10 questions. You can reply in like one sentence, one word. Just that's always something that we do by the end, and then I let you be. And then I'm not taking more of your time. All right, go. Let's go. Ready?
You're ready. Ready to
go. Perfect. So, what's your favorite place in the world?
Any place where I can be with my family would turn into the best place to be by far.
While you're working, what are you listening to?
Some TED Talks, some podcasts, and stuff like that.
What's your best way to gain inspiration?
Movies, video games, ArtStation.
All right. What's your big life goal?
Just being happy.
Great. Favorite drink?
I'm not an alcoholic guy, but I would say beer.
Right. What's the first thing you do in the morning?
Okay, I would say pee, but
that counts.
But it counts. But I think I'd turn on my computer.
All right. And what's your backup career? So if you didn't become a digital artist, what would you be?
A traditional sculptor.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. What's your favorite like book or a movie?
Movie, The Joker.
All right. And who are some of your legends? Although you mentioned that before.
I will mention it again. Steve Lord, Martin Canelli, and William Harbottle.
Okay, we'll put some of those in the show notes. I'll find links. Yes. And finally, what are some of the things on your bucket list?
Okay. Some things. I have many things, but okay. I would love to ride a muscle car. No, it sounds stupid, but I would love to ride a muscle car. I'd love to make a trip. You know those caravans you can rent, those big it called caravans,
I think so. Yeah, the caravan, the van, right?
The van,
To travel.
To travel, I would love to take one of those with my family and go to south to north in states. I would love to make that trip.
South to north, not like horizontal. South to north.
Yeah, or the best way. I don't know. Maybe some people say no, that's the worst way. Go west to east. Okay, whatever it is, the best way.
Well, maybe you can do like a zigzag.
Yeah, or a circle. I don't know.
Or a circle.
Or a spiral.
Oh my God, love the spiral idea. Definitely.
The spiral is the best, I think. You don't miss anything.
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't know how long it will take you, but like spiraling in the States is, to me, sounds just perfect. 3D as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think those are my top 3, I think.
Okay, amazing. That's cool. So I loved everything about this conversation. Like, so many insights. Thanks so much, Daniel. That's been amazing. I think it's been one of the most motivational things that I heard recently, and I hope it's like helpful for some folks out there. And thanks so much for your time.
Okay, I hope the same, and it was a great time. Thank you for having me here, and a big hug to Marlon, who basically put in contact with you, and this is possible.
Sure, of course, definitely we'll do that, and I will see you around. Thanks so much again.
Okay, bye. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much for being here, for listening to this episode, and for dedicating your time and attention to us. We really, really appreciate that. And if you enjoy the show, do make sure that you leave us a review on any platform of your choice, wherever you're listening to this podcast. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you can also leave us a question or a comment. We always make sure that all of your questions go past to the artist, and we actually try to get all of this answered. So thank you again for being here. And on a separate note, if you guys would like to learn more about stylist character creation and in general about character creation in ZBrush, Art Heroes Academy is launching a new intake of stylist character program really soon, and already now you can go to the website and join the waitlist, and we'll send you a notification and an invitation as soon as the intake is up. So see you next week, and meanwhile go to artheroes.co and look for the waitlist application to Stylist Character Program. Thanks again for being here. That was Maria JD. See you in 1 week exactly. Cheers.
Thanks for listening to Art Heroes Podcast. Check out www.artheroes.co for show notes, more interviews, and free tools made for you by our team of mentors. Tune in next week for more inspiration, and keep up the great work, hero.